would you consider collaborating with Robert Pattinson on a screenplay?
Well, it's true that Rob is, you know, actively looking to develop some projects himself, and I think he's, you know, he's sort of feeling that out right now. I think a lot of actors have had some commercial success, but find it difficult to find projects that really excite them, try to develop them on their own. But he hasn't really proposed a particular screenplay to me. I really would love to work with him again, and in particular, I think he'd be terrific with Viggo, you know, two of my favorite actors. I'd love to get
him. It's pre-sold here, so
yeah.
Tell your distributor.
And there is a script called Maps of the Stars, which was written by Bruce Wagner, who's just got a new book out called Dead Stars. And he's a terrific writer and a close friend. And I've been trying to get Maps to the Stars made for years and years. And both Viggo and Rob have said that there are roles that they would play. And I'd love to, you know, we're trying to get that movie made. It's very hard to get anything made that's difficult, that's unconventional, that's, you know, not, you know, just, it's always been like that to a certain extent. Right now it's very extreme. Very hard to get a movie made that is anything but mainstream.
So, well, yeah, I mean, that aspect of casting Pattinson as, you know, a big star, big commercial star. How did that affect the financing of this film, and then like what people expected of it? I mean, because this is very much a film that's true to.
It's sort of it's strangely similar to what happened with Viggo, because Viggo became a star because of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And because of that, he could then be the lead in History of Violence, the first movie I did with him. We all know, and he knew, it was very obvious, that without Lord of the Rings, I couldn't have had him be the lead in History of Violence, because he wouldn't be enough of a star to support that kind of budget. And it's the same with Rob. I mean, Twilight has made him a star, but he's interested, and he's extremely knowledgeable about cinema. I mean, I ran into him talking to Juliette Binoche about French cinema, and a really, you know, very exotic kind of films that they were talking about, very obscure. But any movie, you need a star, because you have to attract financiers, and when it's an independent film like this, you're putting together a kind of Frankenstein quilt. That's, you know, reminding me of the way we built the limo, actually. It's modular, you know, there are 24 or 25 entities, financial entities, that went into the financing of this movie. Some of them are French distributor money, some of it is telefilm money from Canada, so you've got government money. We have a genuine French billionaire who invested in this movie. I want to talk about him too. So there's private money, there's government money, there's distributors' money, and they all have to sort of interlock, and they all have to get their, you know, get up and take some profit if there is any profit in a certain order and all. Very complex. But the one thing you need, you know, they need the reassurance that there's somebody visible in the movie, or more than one usually, who will support the movie with his or her stardom. So it's no accident that I have Juliette Binoche and Mathieu Almery for the movie, because it's a Canada-France co-production. It doesn't. I could choose any actors from Europe at all, because the way the European Union works is that they all count as sort of the same. So Canada, France, you know, Canada, France. So Rob Pattinson is equivalent to Juliette Binoche in that they are Europeans. So I could only have one American in this movie, even though it's set in America. That's the irony of movie making these days, and that's Paul Giamatti. Now, fortunately, New York is such a multicultural city that it goes by kind of unnoticed, I think. But that's the.
I was wondering why Jennifer Aniston wasn't there. So now why Jennifer Aniston wasn't in the film. Yeah. So you know. So I was actually wondering how you responded to this theme about money, the relationship between money and art. I mean, Eric is sort of, in a way, has the soul of an artist, but is dealing with money. You've always had to deal with you know, multi-million-dollar productions, and deal with money in a way to create your art. So I'm just wondering if there was a personal connection to the theme of money.
Well, I guess it's so much business as usual for me that I wasn't really thinking know,
Yeah.
as connecting me thematically to it.
Yeah.
Because I went through the same process not long ago with The Dangerous Method about Freud and Jung, and there wasn't exactly that connection, although there was certainly a psychoanalytic connection. So no, I wouldn't say that it's an interesting, you know, art and money, and certainly when you think of Jackson Pollock and you think of Rothko and you think of, well, Van Gogh, I mean, artists who are poor or struggling in their lives, and then when they're after they're dead, their art is worth astronomical amounts of money. It's a very ironic and very strange, but not, as I say, not thematically not compelling.
Okay. Question right down here.
Curious if you had any contact with Mr. DeLillo, making of, or
Yeah, if you could talk about your contact with DeLillo during the making of, and I guess then his response to the film.
Yeah, DeLillo, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't do the internet or email, so you have to fax him. And he writes on an Olympia, an old Olympia portable typewriter. So he's a little hard to get in touch with, and I mostly connected with him through the producer Paolo, who would then fax him. But ultimately, I did meet him in Estero in Portugal, because the producer of the film also runs that festival. And it was terrific. I had written the script, and he had read the script. The script was written before I actually went into production for A Dangerous Method, so that's why the production was sort of ready to go when I had finished that film. So this was my Woody Allen moment, doing two films back to back, one a year. And I've only done it 2 years, and he does it like for 40 years, so it's a little different. But it was exciting for while it lasted. So DeLillo had read the script, but we were still maybe, you know, quite a way away from production. And he said, one of the first things he said to me was, he really liked the script and he loves the movie, you know, so that makes me very happy, obviously. And he said, for example, I was very curious to know to see how you were going to handle Benno's journal. And I was interested to see that you handled it by leaving it out. And see, in the book, Benno, who is the character played by Paul Giamatti, writes a journal, and it's a chapter, you know, that's his journal, or a couple of chapters actually, and it comes very early on, and you are then in Benno's head. And he actually says, I've got Eric Packer lying dead on the floor beside me now, I killed him. And you're not sure whether he's telling the truth or not, because he's anything but a reliable narrator. But I felt that the journal was not possible to do in cinema. You know, this is an interesting thing. I mean, I've said it many, many times. In order to be faithful to the book, you have to betray the book. And by that I mean you have to accept the difference between the two media, literature and cinema. They are very, very different. They're very related, but they're very different. And there are certain things that are easy or relatively simple to do, let's say, even in a bad novel, which you cannot do at all in cinema, even in very good film. And I mean things like inner monologue, you know, where you have a guy walking down the street, but he's thinking about his wife, and he's thinking about his car keys, and he's thinking about his business. And you can do that very easily. And you can't really do it at all in a movie, you know. Often you see what I think of as a kind of admission of failure, which is you have a voiceover. You know, have somebody reading you the novel while you're watching the movie, like you're some kid, you know, from Steve. Okay, so you haven't figured out how to make the movie. So, you know, I think what you have to do is you accept that the two things are different. You will not translate the book to the screen. There is no dictionary that will give you a translation like that. You are creating a new entity that is very related to the book, but is not a replica of the book. It's not like a movie version of the book. And so I felt that the only way I could have done Benno's journal really was to have Paul reading his journal, you know, over shots of him scribbling or whatever. And I just felt that was wrong for what I could see the movie was going to be. But so I said no, actually I didn't, because I hadn't cast Paul Giamatti at that point. But what I say then is, instead of Benno's journal, I give you Paul Giamatti. You know, I give you his face, his voice, his eyes, the way he moves. And that's the trade-off. You don't get